Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. I am Dr. Anafrat Mahmood. Our course title is Advanced Physical Chemistry. It is lecture number 7. The course is Conductometry and the course code is CHEM3117. Now let us start our lecture number 7. Okay, here are some contents. Number 1 is surface chemistry, and here we will discuss the definition of surface and what is chemistry about surface, interface, etc. so on. And the second content is the surface and interfaces, where we will discuss about surface and interfaces and what is their relationships. And number 3 is types of interfaces, and number 4 is Gibbs access surface. Now dear students, let us go slide number 4, where we will discuss about surface chemistry. Okay, we will discuss about surface chemistry. The definition of surface chemistry is that the study of phenomena that occurs at the interfaces. It means that at the interfaces what phenomena will occur. Basically the study of that phenomena is called the surface chemistry. Now what is interfaces, and also called interfacial layer. The interfaces or interface is the boundary between two spatial regions which are occupied by different matter or by matter in different physical states. Okay, if we have the two different matters A and B and we will mix them, and a boundary will be formed between these two matters. This boundary will actually be called interface. In between phase mean a matter. It is not necessary that A and B are the same matter or different matter. It may be same matter, these may be different matter. If there is a same matter, then there will be different states of that same matter. If there are different matters, then there will be a boundary between these two different matters, and that boundary between two spatial regions which are occupied by different matter or by matter in different physical states will actually be called an interface. It is also called interfacial layer. Okay, it is a layer, it is a region between two matters. Then we will discuss about its chemistry and physical states, physical properties and chemical properties of interface and matter, and we will see that how matter and interface will be different. Okay, now let's go our next slide number 5. This is about interface or interfacial layer. The transition region separating the two immiscible phases. Dear students, on our slide number 5, we are discussing about interface or interfacial layer. Basically, interface or interfacial layer is the transition, mean in between state, transition region separating the two immiscible phases. Okay, the immiscible phases are the phases that are not mixed in each other in any ratio. Okay, when these are not mixed, then they will be called immiscible, and when they will be immiscible, then there will be a boundary, a state, a transition state, a layer, a region that will be separating these two immiscible phases. Then that region, that state, that boundary will be actually called interface or interfacial layer. Okay, what is a phase? Now the question is that what is a phase? A phase is a region of space in which the chemical composition is uniform throughout, and the physical and the mechanical properties are also same. It means that a phase of a matter, basically it is a region of space, means it occupies some place, some space, some region in which the chemical composition and physical properties and mechanical properties are all uniform throughout, are all the same. Okay, let us explain some images. Before going to our image, an explanation is written. It is that an extremely thin boundary layer between these phases constitutes an interface. It means that when the two phases are present, these two phases are immiscible. Then there will be a thin boundary layer between them that will actually be called an interface or interfacial layer. This layer is possess specific physical and chemical properties which differ from those of the constituent phases. Okay, here are our some concepts about interface and phases. Okay, when two immiscible phases are present, then a thin boundary is found between these two immiscible phases. This thin boundary that is found between two immiscible phases, phase A and phase B, between them there is a boundary, a thin layer of region. This is called interface. This thin layer is called interface. And why we are saying that there is a thin boundary? Because we will see a clear difference between these two immiscible phases. It means that our interface, our thin boundary layer, will be different from these two phases, phase A and phase B, which are the two immiscible phases. Okay, the layer that is formed, the interface that is formed, has different properties, not only physical properties, but also it has a different properties of chemical properties. Okay, when it has the different physical properties and different chemical properties, then we will call it that it differ from those of the constituent phases. These two constituent phases are different from interface. Okay, now we have proved that interface is some kind of different region from the two immiscible phases. Let us go over next slide number 6. Okay, this slide is about the types of interface. Dear students, there are about 5 types of interfaces. The first type is the solid-solid interface. Let us see our images. The first image that is shown is about solid-solid interface. The solid-solid interface is the boundary between solid phase and the other solid phase. Note that these two phases are immiscible. No matter, it does not matter that we have the same quantity, same type of matter, solid, but these same matter have different phases or same phases. Okay, these have same phases, solid, but these same phases are not mixable. It means that these are immiscible. These are immiscible. This is about our first type. Now we will go our second type about liquid interface. If the interface present between two immiscible liquid phases, then this interface boundary is called liquid interface. Let us go our third type, that is about solid liquid interface. Means an interface, a boundary which is present between solid and liquid phases. These two phases are immiscible phases, so this interface is called solid liquid interface. Then our fourth type is about solid gas interface, and fifth is liquid gas interface. In the below in a box there is written that there is present no gas interface. Because why? Because the gas and gas, two gases, although they are different, but the gas and the other gas, one gas and other gas, the different gases also mix around each other and cannot be separatable. It means that they do not form immiscible phases. When there is no immiscible phases, then there can be no interface. There can be no interface. So there is no gas interface, since gases always mix spontaneously. Okay, let us go our second last type. Means that fourth type is about solid gas interface and fifth type is about solid gas interface. Note that in our first three types, the two phases are they different. It means that in our three interfaces there is no any phase that is common in our three phases. Because let us see that in first there is solid, in second there is liquid, and the third there is solid liquid. But in our second last type, means fourth and fifth types, there is a common phase, mean gas with solid in fourth type and gas with liquid in fifth type. There are a gas phase that is common. Okay, we can see that there is a gas phase that is common. Okay, then this interface in which one phase is common, either gas, either liquid, either solid, that interfaces will also be called surfaces. The difference between interfaces and surfaces is that interface is a boundary between two immiscible phases, but surfaces are the interfaces in which one phase is common, like in our fourth type gas, and our fifth type there is also present a gas. So the gas phase is common in fourth and fifth type. So these two interfaces will also be called as surfaces. Okay, let us go over slide number 7. Comparison of bulk and interface. Okay, the bulk is a phase, any phase, solid or liquid or gas, but interface is a boundary. The physical and chemical properties of matter in bulk are determined by electronic structure of the constituent atoms, by bonds exists between atoms and molecules within each phase. Okay, the study of interface is more complex because of very small thickness of interfacial regions. Here one thing is said that bulk is one phase that has physical and chemical properties are same, and these properties are determined by their constituent atoms, and these properties are determined by the bonds in between their atoms, if this is solid and liquid, and if this is gas phase, means gas bulk phase, then the bonds will be exist between their molecules within each phase, means each that bulk phase. Okay, but the interface study is more complex because interface has very small thickness region, means very small thickness region, and the thickness of interface usually ranges from a few angstrom to a few hundred of angstrom. This thickness is much more smaller than electron microscope resolution range. Let us go over slide number 8. This is about subdivision of matter. And total area of an interface. Here one concept is written that in our first image there is a box that has 1 centimeter length and 1 centimeter width. The surface area is 6 centimeter square. Okay, now if we have one box, then this is 6 centimeter square. If we have some smaller boxes in a box, then their area is increased. And how much increased? The 6 cross 10 raised to power 4 means 10,000 times its surface area increased and interface also increased. One concept is said that different from geometric area of the bulk quantity of this matter. Okay, let's go to slide number 9. It is about Gibbs surface access. For understanding this Gibbs surface access, we basically need concepts. One concept is that interfacial and bulk regions of two phases in contact. It means that bulk region and interfacial regions are in contact. The contacting two phases where adsorption takes place at interface. It means that when we contact two phases, then an interface is developed. And how interface is developed? Because of absorption. So where adsorption takes place, it will be take place at interface. The third point is that contacting the two interfaces where adsorption does not take place at interface. It means that when the two interfaces will contact each other, then their adsorption will not take place because the two interfaces contacting each other. Okay, we have three images. First is B phase bulk, means we have beta phase, and the other is alpha phase. When these two phases are in contact, then they form an interfacial layer. Okay, this interfacial layer had some thickness, and this is in between the two phases. Then it is adsorbing from the beta phase and from the alpha phase. It means that some concentration of the components of beta phase are adsorbing through the beta phase bulk in the interfacial layer, and some concentration of the alpha phase components are adsorbing from alpha phase bulk to the interfacial layer. Okay, now dear students, we have an example of two phases, alpha and beta, and here we will see that how their component concentration are changing from one phase to the interfacial layer and from other phase to the interfacial layer. Let us suppose two phases. First is alpha phase, other is beta phase. The concentration Ci is the concentration of component I. Let us suppose a component I is present in both phases, alpha and beta. So Ci alpha is the concentration of the I component in alpha phase, and Ci beta is the concentration of I component in beta phase. So alpha phase and beta phase are two different phases, means two immiscible phases. When we talk about the interfacial layer, it is between the dotted line and the red arrows showing the interfacial layer. The line X and Y, this line is showing the Gibbs surface. Basically, Gibbs surface is the interfacial region, the region where the concentration changes. How concentration changes? Here we will see in the diagram. In the diagram, from left to right, alpha phase, and left to right, the concentration Ci alpha. Firstly, at the dotted line where the interfacial layer starts, at the dotted line, Ci alpha remains constant, means it does not change its concentration. It remains constant throughout the alpha phase bulk. But when we go from alpha phase bulk to the interfacial layer, then Ci alpha increases, and it increases much. And if we talk about the beta phase, then we will go from right to left. From right, Ci beta is written, its concentration remains constant at the dotted line interfacial layer, and when we cross from right to left dotted line interfacial layer, its concentration Ci beta increases, and its increase is less than its increase in the right side of interfacial layer where Ci alpha increases much. Okay, adsorption at the interface of alpha and beta system 1. System consisting of the phases alpha and beta. Ni is the number of moles of component I are introduced at equilibrium. The concentration of the component I in the phase alpha is Ci alpha, and the phase beta is Ci beta. Okay, let us talk about the figure. Adsorption at the alpha and beta interface. Real system, solid line, the profile of the concentration changes of component I as a function of distance from xy surface Gibbs surface. Okay, let us talk about this region, interfacial layer, interfacial region, Gibbs surface. The region in which changes of concentration occurs, marked in figure by vertical broken lines, is called the interface or interfacial layer. Okay, what happens when adsorption takes place? We have two systems. First is reference system and the other is actual or real system. Okay, in the reference system there is no change in the concentration of alpha component I in alpha phase and no change in component I concentration of in beta phase, because there is no interface layer, there is no interfacial layer, there is no interface. When no interface, then there is no change in concentration. When no change in concentration, then the line in the blue, in the green line in the first figure is a constant, is a straight. Okay, here we have two concepts. First is interfacial layer and the other is a Gibbs surface. If the concentration in the interfacial layers are different from those in the adjoining bulk phases. Okay, the bulk phases adjoining in the left figure, there is a line. This line is basically called Gibbs surface. And if we talk about interfacial layer, then we will mix them, the immiscible phases and interfacial layer will be formed, and in actual real system adsorption will take place and concentration will change. Then concentration will change, then stoichiometry of the system will deviate. When stoichiometry deviate, then concentration will change, and then concentration will change, and then adsorption will occur in real system. So if the concentrations in the interfacial layers are different from those in adjoining bulk phases, so that the overall stoichiometry of system deviates from the corresponding to a reference system of homogeneous bulk phases. We have two systems. First is reference and the other is actual system. In reference system we have a line, a bulk, we have two adjoining bulk phases, and between these two adjoining bulk phases we have a line xy. This line is called Gibbs surface. And in the right side figure we have actual or real system where adsorption is taking place. When adsorption taking place, then we see that concentration changes and stoichiometry of the system deviates. In the left side, stoichiometry does not change because concentration remains constant. Thank you so much, dear students. Any question regarding to this lecture you can ask free. Allah Hafiz.